Welcome to Fandom Power.
In 1985, Back to the Future asked the question, could a high school teenager be friends with his father if they went to school together? The movie was a smash success, earning $388 million globally on a paltry $19 million budget. The movie has gone on to become a pop culture phenomenon, with many considering it to be one of the best films of all time. Well, today we're going to turn it upside down as Fandom Power presents our very first episode of Fantasy Casting Call. Today I'm joined by Andy.
Hello.
And so we've been talking about this for a few weeks now, that we were going to try this out and see if this is something that the listeners like. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
So let's talk about the premise of what we're going to do here today. So, I mean, everybody, I think we all universally agree, like, in the world of reboots, Back to the Future is like the one, like, ultimate hands-off property. Don't touch it. You know, I think there was maybe a stretch with doing Ghostbusters where people were like, "Oh, that's really risky."
My friend, don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
But Back to the Future is like universally one of those, like, hands-off.
Don't touch it. It was perfect the first go around.
Is there a way to make it better though? Is there? Possibly.
With the new technologies and everything out there, nothing can be off the table anymore.
I have to agree with you. I think we're seeing it more and more now, especially with what's the buzz one right now? The digital de-aging, where you can have any actor you want now in any film, and they can look exactly how you want them to. I mean, we saw it with Michael Douglas in the Marvel films, where, you know, he looked significantly younger. It's like, oh, that's Romancing the Stone, Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
You know, not Michael Douglas today. So,
well, and same with Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian.
Right. And that technology is only getting better. And I don't remember who said it, but I mean, somebody in the industry had said it one time. There will come a time where it won't matter if that actor has passed on. Like, we'll cast a sound-alike for their voice, and as long as we have likeness rights, we'll be able to digitally insert anybody we want to into any film. And I think that presents some interesting options, even if some of them are maybe a little creepy.
True.
So I guess that kind of brings us to the structure of today's show. And I think we talked about rules for the show. And really, to make it a true fantasy cast, I mean, there really is only one rule. And that is, in the recasting process, we could pick any actor, whether they were alive or deceased, and it could be from any point in their career. So that makes it a true fantasy cast. So, like, if I wanted to cast, say, like, maybe not in this movie, but if I wanted to cast, you know, Sammy Davis Jr. at age 30 with Alec Guinness at age, 75, I could do that, and it's my fantasy cast. So I think that's going to make for an interesting discussion as we recast Back to the Future. So why don't we start from the top, and let's go, I guess we'll go our two main principles first and kind of talk about that. And then we'll just kind of work through the cast until we've kind of hit everybody that we wanted to. And let's see how this goes. So Michael J. Fox played Marty McFly.
It's me, sir. It's Marty.
If Michael wasn't already a household name from his appearances on Family Ties, this movie certainly propelled him into the stratosphere of stardom. Again, what a hard role to recast. Again, like, when you look at, who else could do it, it's very difficult to come up with somebody else. So who did you pick?
For mine, there is a deep fake rolling around on the internet.
Okay.
And after watching that, I am sold 100% on it. Tom Holland.
Very interesting choice. Now, are you basing that on any particular performance or role that he's done before? Or is it just strictly on the deep fake?
For the look, just the deep fake. But his performance in Homecoming as that awkward teenager.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have to admit, we talked about this prior to the show, and this is the only one where we actually spoke to each other in advance, because I had no idea that this deep fake even existed. And I, too, immediately went to Tom Holland based on his Peter Parker performance. And like you say, awkward teenager. All I think of is the scene in Avengers Endgame when everybody comes back and, Spider-Man makes the big swing out onto the Avengers grounds. And Tony Stark is there, and it's the big hug. And he's like,
You will not believe what's been going on.
Mr. Stark, we were in space, and then the thing, and then I was gone, and then I woke up, and then Doctor Strange said they need us. Come on, kid. Like, it's just the spastic. I don't know how old Tom Holland is. I know he's a young actor. Is he younger than Michael J. was at the time?
Possibly. I
think it's just there's something in his in just his style, the way that he's. Yeah, the Peter Parker character, his characterization of Peter Parker is a great stand-in for Marty McFly.
Apparently, he's 24 years old.
24. So I think Michael J. Fox was of a similar age at the time. I should just say though, I don't know about you, but for my picks, before we get too deep into it, is I didn't want to change the movie very much. I wanted the movie to play out kind of as I remembered it. So I approached it from the perspective of who do I think could have pulled these roles off and gave a similar compelling performance in those roles. So some of the choices I think are I know some of the choices are going to make you laugh because I laughed as I was writing them down, but yeah, so that was my approach to the film. Was I don't want to change it too much. I want it to look familiar but yet different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. We're 1 for 1. We get a Tom Holland as our Marty McFly.
Oh, this is nice.
And I'm surprised to see where this is going to go next. So I guess the next one is Dr. Emmett Doc Brown.
Great Scott.
And you know him. He's Christopher Lloyd. He's still out there on the convention circuit if we ever get back to them. You had a close call with him.
I did. He was actually the last autograph I got at Niagara Falls Comic-Con before this whole pandemic thing decided to go.
That's pretty cool. And for the fans who don't know, you've got a story about sharing a meal in a similar location.
Yes, I sat 2 tables away from him as I was having supper that night at Niagara Falls Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And the wife had to tell me, stop looking over there. You're going to bug him.
Stop staring. You're making a scene.
Switch seats with me so you don't look at him all meal.
What are you looking at, butthead?
But what a super genuine, nice man. I did not brave the lineup for his. I went to this convention that year as well. I did not brave his lineup. I know that on Sunday, because we stayed for the whole weekend. Did you leave on Saturday?
No, we took off on Sunday.
Sunday morning?
Sunday afternoon. I got his autograph Sunday
You did?
morning.
Okay, so Sunday, we were right there to the bitter end. And I mean, the show floor was closing down, and there was still a significant lineup in front of that DeLorean to get the photo op with him. And I'm like, and he looked like he was just like as fresh as he was on, Friday afternoon, right? Like super, super cool experience. Okay, so I'm going to go first this time.
Okay.
I decided that I would subvert this one just a little bit. And let me just throw this out there. So my Doc Brown is going to be Bryan Cranston.
Say my name.
And I say that so Bryan has done a few comedy movies, and there's some similarity across his comedic roles. I don't want to say that he's playing the same person every time, but he has a dry wit. It's not as over the top as Christopher Lloyd on that, oh, Marty, we gotta go, it's the kids. But Bryan Cranston's comedic timing is very, very good. And I don't know if you've seen, there's a movie he did based on a true story with Kevin Hart. It's called The Upside, where he plays a quadriplegic.
I don't believe I've seen that.
He plays a quadriplegic who is basically looking for a life aid, and he ends up hiring, interviews a bunch of people and ends up hiring Kevin Hart, who's not a healthcare professional in any way, shape, or form. He's just a regular guy who's trying to get his life together, and it turns out that they kind of need each other more than the other thinks. Anyway, it's a great feel-good story, but if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's called The Upside, and just pay attention to his wit and his timing, because it is spot on. So yeah, Bryan Cranston for my Doc Brown.
You're goddamn right.
Good choice.
Where are you at?
Me, I leaned right back into that deep fake,
Oh, okay.
Because Robert Downey Jr. pulls off a convincing-looking
Really?
Doc Brown.
Is that right?
It is. But based on his entire tenure in the Marvel Universe and a whole lot of other films, I think he could pull it off.
He plays, I don't know if this is the right word. He does spastic pretty well. Again, if I can go back, I'm going to cite Endgame again, but his whole speech about, being cratered by a planet and mind you, that was kind of an emotionally driven scene, but he does do spastic very well.
And he's no stranger to the science aspect, like not only with the Iron Man, but like
Yeah.
the older science as well with his Sherlock Holmes performances.
Oh, yeah. Again, kind of spastic.
A little bit.
Yeah. What's the other one? I can't think of the movie that he did. Oh, my God. The one he did with Jack Black and the one he did in blackface.
Oh.
What was that called? Why have I forgotten it? Maybe it's because I've only seen it once. But talk about committing to a role.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point.
Oh, Tropic Thunder. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Tropic Thunder. So talk about committal, like being committed to a role. And I mean, I think that's a great example.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Well, yeah. Oh, wait, what did I do? Oh, no, sorry. I thought I missed I'm looking at my notes here. I'm like, did I forget to cast somebody? But no, I see what I did. Where are we next then?
Do we go to the McFlys or do we go to Biff?
What's the order you have? I guess we can go in your note order if that makes it. You're going to lead, so I guess
All right.
I'll just match you, whatever you decide.
Well, I got Biff up next.
Okay, Biff.
For my Biff,
Biff, originally played by Thomas F. Wilson, also still very active in Hollywood today.
lots of voiceover roles.
Very much so.
Don't think we don't know how to weed them out.
So for my Biff, I went with the 90s Mallrats era Ben Affleck.
Really?
Yes. He plays a great pseudo-villain in that,
Okay.
who is also, what's the word here? Fond, a little bit of a fondness for rape.
Oh, really?
And I think that would factor in well to that performance.
Yeah, so?
Just being kind of rapey.
That character in particular, yes.
Oh, am I allowed to laugh at that?
I think so.
Okay, all right. It's a comedy. You're allowed to laugh at comedy,
Yeah,
right?
we're still aiming for a comedy vibe in this
Okay,
film.
good. I also picked a villainous character because he's certainly portrayed that way. But my Biff is Bill Paxton.
Ooh.
And it's Bill Paxton based on his performance as Chet from Weird Science.
Okay.
Like total overboard Big Brother, would all the Big Brother crap. For anybody who's ever had a Big Brother, you know what I'm talking about. Would rub your nose in it or give you noogies until you cried, and it was just a total pain in your ass the whole time you were still living in your parents' house, right? Like real like evil Big Brother kind of vibe from Bill Paxton as Chet.
He's an asshole.
But yeah, Bill Paxton as my Biff because I think he's a treat, and I mean he's done some pretty horrible movies, but I mean he as an actor I think is pretty good in just about everything. Even as even in his moment in Aliens as Hudson, right? It's over, man. It's over.
Well, that's great.
I can totally see that. His propensity for dramatic overacting, I think, lends itself sort of to the Biff character.
I think that would go over well.
Yeah. All right, so where are we going to go next? That's
Next up, I've got George McFly.
George. Oh, we're going to go right to the McFlys. Okay, so George, where are you, George? Got to find you on my... Why did I not write that down?
Played by Crispin Glover.
You're George McFly.
Originally.
Yeah, he is played by Crispin Glover, who has a really not good relationship with the franchise.
Yeah, it went south after that first one.
It took years. I don't know about you, but it was only recently that I learned that it was a lookalike for the sequel, and I guess he was really, really upset that they went and used his likeness without getting permission.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got to find my original notes because I totally skipped over George and I didn't mean to.
Oh, poor George.
Oh my God, where is it? Oh yes, of course. Okay. So, George, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, George McFly, Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick, and I'm not talking Ferris Bueller Matthew Broderick, but I'm talking like he just did a Netflix series, a zombie series, Daybreak.
I haven't seen
Daybreak. I think it's Daybreak. Plays the principal, high school principal, and it does lean into sort of his. There's some actual callbacks to Ferris Bueller, which kind of make me go.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
But yeah, I think I guess you can't really pick Matthew Broderick without thinking of Ferris Bueller on some level. But like how George was like docile and kind of awkward, even as an adult, and then even later when Marty comes back afterwards and George is this like big famous author, he's still kind of just a little bit like weird.
Mm-hmm.
I do see Matthew Broderick fitting in that role. I mean, certainly visually it's a pretty decent, I don't want to say a match, but it's a pretty good look to, I don't know if he pulls off Tom Holland's father very well, but certainly the father figure of the family, and I think he would be a good choice.
Okay.
That's my George.
Alrighty. My George, I went with, and I love him in pretty much everything I've ever seen him in.
Yeah.
I went with Rounders era Ed Norton.
Oh, really?
Yes. The man can fall into any role he needs to, so I'm 100% sure he could pull off the weird, the awkward,
Yeah.
but also the other end of it, the confident, the cocky.
If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
I appreciate that choice. I don't know if I agree with it, but I certainly appreciate that choice. And I don't know if it's because I don't think of him as being a very great human being, but that shouldn't take away from his ability to act, and it doesn't, because I agree with you. He's a great actor.
Who's your favorite actor?
Wow, Rounders era. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that because now I wanna get in your head now. Well, if we're going to talk about George, we should probably talk about George's wife. Lorraine Baines McFly, originally played by Leah Thompson. And let's see, by 1985, Leah, she'd done a few things. Did she not appear in, Red Dawn, I think by that time she'd been in.
I think so.
With Ferris Bueller's sister, Baby, from Dirty Dancing.
Jennifer Grey.
Yeah, so they were both in that together. Yeah, so I mean, Leah was already an up-and-comer leading lady of the day. Interesting choice, though, to play Michael J's mother, considering I think they're pretty close in age.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you got for Lorraine?
For my Lorraine, I went with the Devil's Advocate era Charlize Theron.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Devil's Advocate. I saw Devil's Advocate, and I thought that was a great movie, but I don't see her as being a mom.
Maybe not out of that role. That was more of her...
Just her physicality at that time?
Probably physicality of that time, yes.
Sure.
But she has delved in. I know she can pull off a crazy wide array of characters. Like she did that one based on the serial killer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Monster,
yeah.
I think it was Monster.
I know I know what you're talking about, though.
But between Mighty Joe Young, 2 Days in the Valley.
Oh, yeah, Mighty Joe Young. Yeah,
so she can care for that creature.
That's true.
So
yeah,
there's the mothering
for
instinct in there.
Are you shitting me?
Very good choice now that you say that. I went completely the opposite way, and this one I think maybe is like, this is an eye-rolling choice, and even I rolled my eyes when I went to this, but really, who else in 1985 would I lean into to play Lorraine? I went to Julia Roberts. And I based that on her Erin Brockovich character. Erin Brockovich, and again, talking about, much like the Robert Downey Jr. thing, playing a spastic character. And Lorraine is kind of, she's the mom of the house, but she's kind of quirky.
A little bit.
And I think Julia Roberts can be quirky.
And why the hell would you assume that?
Everybody kind of goes to Pretty Woman as her big thing, but like, I thought she was great in Erin Brockovich. And I think that character, some of the isms that exist in that character translate well into what we saw with Leah.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Fandom Power.
All right. Sticking with the family, let's go down the list. Do we want to go to Brother Dave?
Sure.
So Dave McFly, originally played by Mark McClure. If you weren't aware of that, Mark McClure was the original Jimmy Olsen in the 1970s Superman. More recently, he played the police officer in the plaza in Justice League that Lois went to visit. She brought him coffee.
Okay,
same actor, yeah. So it's a nice little nod to him, the Superman connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Dave McFly, Mark McClure. Who's your Dave?
My Dave is Jason Segel.
I know who you are. Yeah, you're very, very famous.
Oh, my Lord. I thought we were going to have a match there because I also picked a Jason. That's a great choice. There's a very similar look for them.
Yes. And based on his performances in Forgetting Sarah Marshall and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're kind of work driven, but not really.
Yeah.
And
I see Dave. I guess I think of the family more at the end of the movie when Marty comes back
and everybody's gone all confident version.
Yeah, in there like. I picked a Jason as well. I picked Jason Bateman.
Okay.
So he's a kind of how do I say this? Jason Bateman, I guess for lack of better words, really is playing kind of versions of the same character in just about everything he does. So whether it's Michael Bluth from Arrested Development or Nick Hendricks in Horrible Bosses, they're almost, they're slivers of the same guy. Again, the dry wit, and I think of the scene at the breakfast table where he's sitting there in the suit and he's completely nonchalant, flipping through the newspaper and just sort of idle conversation. And I totally see Jason Bateman and his dry wit kind of doing the same thing. So, yeah, two Jasons.
There you go.
Half a point for that one. And I guess that brings us down to Linda. Now we're going to touch on Linda.
There we go.
Linda McFly. So Marty's sister, originally played by Wendy Jo Sperber. I guess I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
This is my left field, way out there, but I think would be good just sort of based on the mannerisms. And I'm going with Mayim Bialik based on Amy Vera Fowler from The Big Bang Theory.
This is so exciting.
Okay.
The way that she dressed, the super conservative dress, the, glasses and the nerdiness. And, pre going to 1955, Linda was kind of awkward, kind of, and I kind of see, I think Mayim could pull that off. Where are you at?
With mine, I kind of went the other way because the Linda character I've always seen as kind of like a background piece to that.
Yeah.
So it's a nice spot for a cameo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I went with Chasing Amy era Joey Lauren Adams.
Oh, okay.
And I'm basing that on that performance. She's more of the confident one at the end of the film.
Yeah, I guess so.
Also pull off the repressed, awkward, needed role for the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting too. I guess when I think about my own choice, could Mayim do both? I guess she could.
She could.
I mean, really, outside of that, what else? Blossom. But I mean, Blossom was always that.
Well, she's got that new one, Call Me Kat.
I don't think I haven't seen that yet.
Just wrapped up its first season.
Sitcom?
Yep.
It is. What? Who's got it?
CTV, I believe.
Okay, I'm gonna go look for that because I'm curious to see. She was absent from acting for such a long time, and then to come back to Big Bang Theory and then nail the Amy character, I'd be curious to see what kind of range that she really does have because.
Well, she actually did go out and get her doctorate, did she not?
Yeah, she really is a doctor in what neuroscience, neurobiology,
maybe.
I'll have to look that one up. I think it's neurobiology, but I think she's actually very much knowledgeable in the field that she's portrayed as in the show. Yeah, cool choice. I agree. That's a good choice.
I just love Joey Lauren Adams, so I want to see her in more.
Yeah. What's next on your list?
Next up we have Jennifer.
Okay, so Jennifer, played originally by Claudia Wells, who for whatever reason was not invited back for the subsequent films, was also present at Niagara. Was it the year before? I think we went.
I think so.
She had a really good panel. She and James Tolkien, Principal Strickland, they did a panel together. It was very good. They were both very well spoken. She's still very passionate about Back to the Future. She does like to remind you that she was the original Jennifer. I stress original.
Not the subsequent Elizabeth Shue version.
Yeah. I don't remember her being in much else, to be honest with you. But again, I think there was some horror films I think that she had done. I'd have to look that one up too. But am I going first on this one, or are you?
Nah, you can go first.
Sure. So my Jennifer. So true fantasy cast. Here we go. 1995. Alicia Silverstone, Clueless.
So I was like totally bugging.
That's my Jennifer.
There you go.
Yep. I think she'd play off well against Tom Holland. I think, they're of similar age at that point in their career. And I mean, the Cher character in Cher Horowitz in that movie isn't as ditzy as maybe the supporting cast around there. Whereas like, I think Jennifer has that, a similar vibe where she looks the part, but she's not.
The lights are on.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Alicia Silverstone, could have pulled that off. What do you got?
Well, I went the fantasy cast route on this one too.
Okay, cool.
And I went with Labyrinth era Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, wow.
So Jennifer playing a Jennifer.
Yeah, that's a great choice too. Yeah, I thinking of Labyrinth and how, she pulled a lot of emotion out of that too.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, what else had she done?
She was in Dark City though.
She's been in tons.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think Tom Holland is a pretty short guy, and I think she's relatively tall. I know, with the magic of editing and camera trickery, we can always make that look like there's not much difference. Same thing, oddly enough, the current Tom Holland as Spider-Man and the current Mary Jane. There's
Zendaya.
So there's a little bit of a height disparity there. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I have not.
Yeah, they really go out of their way in Spider-Man Far From Home to make sure that he's walking ahead of her on the bridge to make him look a little taller.
Huh.
Yeah. Was she also the female lead in Legend?
Possibly.
With Tom Cruise?
I don't think she was in Legend.
Not in Legend. Who was the female lead in that? I can't remember, but. Oh my Lord. Mia Sara, that's who it was. Yeah, that's funny. I should have picked her. Should have picked her for my Jennifer, because she's a good choice too. Because that's another one where it was like, oh, interesting. All right, so cool choice so far. That was not Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer Parker.
It's because I'm jumping all over my notes. Our notes are not in the same order, so that's why I'm kind of. Yeah, so Alicia Silverstone for me and Jennifer Connelly for you. Oh man, what a drastic difference, though. Okay, let's move on. Who do we got next?
We got Principal Strickland next.
You look to me like a slacker.
Okay, I had a lot of fun with this one. Do you want to go first on this?
I can go first on this.
Okay.
This might be my movie tastes and influences, but I went right back to Mallrats.
Oh, okay.
And Michael Rooker.
Rooker.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Even I am not familiar with him really outside of like
Yondu.
Yeah, and I mean a couple of other things I've seen him in, but even that, I agree with you. He would be a pretty good Principal Strickland.
I may be as pretty as an angel, but I sure as hell ain't one.
Boy. So I went with somebody who was a little more contemporary for the time, but probably too big to consider for the role. In 1986, there was a little movie that came out based on the Battle of Grenada. It was called Heartbreak Ridge, and it starred Clint Eastwood.
Ooh,
that's true.
Get out of my hall, slacker. Can you just hear? I can just hear Clint Eastwood, slacker.
I can hear it. And that would be a nice touch for part 3.
Seriously, eh? Yeah, Wild West.
Yep.
As the sheriff. Oh yeah, this is the one that I had the most fun when I wrote it down, and I was busting a gut at home. I'm thinking, oh my god, all the one-liners this guy. Clint Eastwood is my Principal Strickland. In fact, if anybody wants to in the deep fake world wants to try that out, I would love to see that. So yes, please. So Rooker and Eastwood. Good Lord. Imagine if they met. Oh, what's left? We only got a few left here.
We've got Goldie Wilson.
Oh, yeah. So future mayor of Hill Valley,
Yep.
Goldie Wilson, now originally played by Donald Fullilove. I'll go first. I went with another Donald, Don Cheadle.
Ooh.
So Don Cheadle is going to be my Goldie Wilson, and that's solely based on his portrayal of Colonel James Rhodes.
Fair enough.
I feel that Rhodey, the Rhodey character, the way he was written, where like Goldie, the way that he portrayed like his character, how he was just kind of, humble, but yet funny and a couple of zingers. Like, I feel like Rhodey does the same thing. Like, hey, new girl, we're all about that superhero life. And he's no stranger to comedy either, right? But again, he's just got that, his timing is great. The one-liners are great. And I think he would make a great Goldie. And yet he still has the, I don't want to call it command presence, but the presence to be, I think, later on as the mayor, like he makes a credible authority figure, as well as the guy sweeping the floor, Who's your Goldie?
My Goldie, as the guy sweeping the floor, from the era of Half-Baked, I want Dave Chappelle in there.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Interesting. There's certainly there's a certain style I see that you're leaning into when it comes to your other film choices. Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
People like me.
That's an interesting one too. I think he'd be all right.
He's got the comedy chops for it. And,
Yeah. Did you see his interview with David Letterman?
I did not.
You should check it out. It's on Netflix. It's on Letterman's show called My Next Guest Needs No Introduction.
Okay.
It's in the most recent season, and it's a great little insight into what Chappelle's been doing since he's kind of come back into the limelight and how he's living his life now, living in Ohio, away from Hollywood. Yeah, it's really good. I definitely approve of that choice. Fantastic choice. Wow, I think we got one left.
Man.
Oh, wait. You've got two.
I've got two, only because I went
Right,
one
you
more.
went a little extra. Okay, so the last one, this is an uncredited role. This is the band audition judge. This is the role made famous by Huey Lewis of Huey Lewis and the News, who contributed the hit song, actually 2 songs to the movie.
Multiple.
Yeah, Back in Time, and then, of course, The Power of Love.
That's the power of love.
So, you want to go first on this one?
I can go first.
Okay.
Somebody with acting and comedy chops, but also leaning really heavy into the music and could provide some hits.
Yeah.
Even covers.
Yeah.
For this version.
Yeah.
Jack Black.
Oh. I think your choice is better than mine.
Because I would love to hear a cover of The Power of Love by Tenacious D.
Oh, my, yeah. That's the power of love.
Fuck yeah!
Yes.
Typical Jack Black style. Oh, man. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you my choice after hearing that. I took this as this was my ultimate cameo slot. If you could only have one person who embodied music and rock and roll, there is only one choice, and it's Elvis Presley.
Oh.
Who made, Elvis, who made multiple movies, which were all musicals.
Yep.
The king of rock and roll, man. I mean, can you hear Elvis saying, sorry, you're too loud, eh? Too loud. Yeah. I don't know if it's a great fit. I actually think Jack Black is the better choice, but as my ultimate cameo, if Elvis Presley was alive in 1985, I think he'd have made a good choice. He probably would look the part of a high school teacher too.
Quite possibly.
Considering, where he was at the end of his life. But.
Well, if you wanted to stand in for Elvis, you could always get Bruce Campbell.
Oh, yeah, really, eh?
Bubba Hotep.
That's so true. So true. Yeah, which is interesting because, I mean, usually your Hollywood Elvis go-to is often Kurt Russell,
Yes.
who has portrayed Elvis in a couple of different ways. Played fictitious Elvis's son in 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Yeah. So yeah, Elvis Presley is my stand-in for Huey Lewis.
All right.
Well, that was an interesting exercise in recasting a movie, and I think when this is sort of one of those fun things that we've talked about before where, Wizard magazine back in the day when it was still a printed magazine would do these casting calls all the time. And it was always interesting to see what they came up with, casting I think X-Men came up.
They did
a few times.
And they put Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
They
and
did,
lo and behold.
And you kind of lose your mind when you figure out that, oh my God, it's real. So this has been one of those things. This is like, schoolyard. This is schoolyard talk, like it's in the nerd community. I think we've been doing this for forever. So I think this was a fun exercise to see what we could come up with. And I think we did okay.
Well, I got one more.
Oh, yeah,
I got my
one
bonus
more.
pick.
Oh, bonus. Okay.
In the interest of adding more cameos to this film.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't love those?
Okay.
The bum on the park bench.
Oh, yeah.
Who utters the line, yeah, crazy drunk drivers.
Crazy drunk drivers.
I want Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas era Johnny Depp.
Oh! Is he going to have a British accent?
He can do whatever he wants.
That's right. It's Johnny Depp. If he didn't do that, now it's hit me, because now that you've thrown that out, I've got one, because I didn't actually cast this role. Raising Arizona era. Oh my God.
Nicolas Cage.
Yes. Actually, you know what? Today, Nick Cage, or any time in his career, Nick Cage, because it's the same dude.
True.
Think about what was the movie? Where he's a Con Air.
Yes.
Con Air. I got you this rabbit. Oh my God. Well, folks, there you have it. We just spent the last 40 minutes or so. It's pretty short today, actually. We're only 40 minutes exactly.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we took a movie that some would say is untouchable, and as much fun as I had doing this, I have to go back to it is untouchable. It's a timeless classic, and I'm super happy that people have kind of kept their hands off of it, because it's a perennial favorite that we watch several times a year.
Repeated viewings are nothing new.
Exactly. Whenever you're in the mood for you get a long weekend, or you got a pandemic that you got to get through, and you've got a few months to stay at home, you can watch the Back to the Future trilogy. That makes for good background for that's a day's worth of movies right there.
For sure. And if you really want to get into details, there's lots to see in there. Lots hidden in there.
Yeah, we could come back to, at some point we'll come back to Back to the Future, because that was sort of the catalyst for some of the other episodes that we were talking about. The Hill Valley set.
Yes.
How many times has that been reused across other properties, right?
True.
Yeah. So that's going to be the centerpiece, I think, for our props and set pieces episode. But we'll come back to the Future again at some point, and we'll do a deeper dive on it.
Sad to see you go. You've really made a difference in my life. You've given me something to shoot for.
And so that's our first kick at Fandom Power presents Fantasy Casting Call. If you enjoyed the show, if you liked what we're doing, hit us up on social media and let us know what movies you'd like to see us try and recast, because this was certainly this was a fun exercise. Hey, and if you have some ideas you want to be on the show, we're always looking for extra voices. Happy to entertain you guys, and come be part of the show with us. Anyway, I'm Wes.
And I'm Andy.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Fandom Power. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll be talking about another one of your favorite fandoms. Fandom Power is a Sawcast production.